For 2 decades, I've cherished a daughter who shares no blood ties with me. She's my stepdaughter, yes, but to me, she feels every bit like my own. I believed that wholeheartedly until everything took an unexpected turn. If they're going to treat me this way, I have my own feelings to voice. This is the tale of our unforgettable family. I'm Diane, 50 years old, and I've been married to Tom for 20 years from my first marriage, though his second. When I first met him, he already had a daughter, Sally, who was just 9. I wasn't aware of her existence when we started dating. It wasn't until I was head over heels for Tom that he opened up about his past, including his divorce and his daughter in elementary school. Once I learned about Sally, I was already deeply invested in Tom. He reciprocated my feelings, and 6 months later, he formally asked me to be his girlfriend. Despite this, I hesitated. Could I really find happiness marrying a man with a child? Those worries lingered in my mind until I decided to give the relationship a chance. As time passed, Sally and I grew closer. One evening, while we were having dinner, she surprised me by saying, "It would be nice if Diane could be my mom." Her words caught me off guard. It felt as if she'd been waiting to say them. Tom's eyes lit up as he replied, "I've been thinking the same thing. Diane, would you like to be part of our family?" It was in that moment that I felt we could truly make it work, and I gratefully accepted their proposal, solidifying our family bond. After our wedding, life was blissful. Sally relished the meals I prepared and often complimented my cooking. My husband would take us out on holidays, and the more time we spent together, the stronger our connection grew. Sure, we had our disagreements, but that's part of being a family, right? I felt fortunate to have married Tom. Yet, around the 10th year of our marriage, everything changed. One evening, I returned home from running errands to find the house enveloped in darkness. My husband and daughter should have been waiting for me, and we should have been gathered at the dinner table. Uneasy settled in as I called out to them, but neither answered their phones. Panic set in. What if something had happened? Should I call the police? Trying to calm myself, I waited until I heard the front door creak open and the sound of laughter. Relief washed over me as I stepped into the room. "Oh, thank goodness." I was worried because neither of you answered. I said, "My daughter," seemingly unfazed, coolly replied, "Oh, you're back. Just glad you're both safe. I'll start dinner so we can eat together," I suggested. "We already ate with Dee." "No thanks, you can eat alone," she said. "What? You had dinner without telling me? That's never happened before." "So that's how it is. A little heads up would have been nice," I responded. My words must have struck a nerve, as Tom suddenly snapped. "Why do we have to tell you everything? What Sally and I do is none of your business." Tom, I was taken aback. I had never seen him react like this before. We had our disagreements, but this was different. "This woman is scared of Dad. How hilarious," Sally chimed in. Tom added, "She's overstepping her boundaries as a stepmother. She's not even part of our real family." "Ha, exactly. The only one who's blood-related here is Dad," Sally sneered. I felt utterly blindsided. "Why are you treating me like this? We've been a happy family. What changed? Did I do something wrong?" I asked, bewildered. Their response was shocking. "Something wrong? It's you. You're the problem." "Right, Dad," Sally mocked. "Yeah, the way she pretends to be a good mother is infuriating," Tom agreed. "Is this for real? To be insulted like this by the two people I love most?" That night, I lost my appetite. After a long bath, I headed straight to bed, but my husband insisted that he felt uncomfortable sharing the room with me, so I ended up sleeping on the couch. From that day on, their coldness escalated. If they were merely distant, it would have been one thing, but what hurt most was hearing their laughter as they mocked me. "Dad, how long are we keeping her around?" "Well, as long as she's here, we won't have to worry about housework. Guess we can keep her until we get bored. Ha ha." "Seriously, Dad, you're way too kind." They ridiculed me as if I were the villain. I was baffled at first, unsure of why they had turned on me, but as time went on, I began to piece it together. One evening, I overheard Sally on the phone. "Yeah, it's okay. We're about to kick her out." "Kick me out?" I held my breath, straining to remain unnoticed. "So when are you coming back, Dad?" "I can't wait. Living together is so much better when my real mom is around." In that moment, everything clicked. The person on the other end was my husband's ex-wife, Sally's biological mother. It dawned on me Tom and Sally had started secretly meeting with her. Their affections began to shift back toward her, and I felt myself being compared to her. I realized they now saw me as inferior, which explained their sudden coldness. Their biological mother was returning, and I was being pushed aside. I guess leaving is inevitable. Initially, I considered filing for divorce right away, but realistically, I've been a stay-at-home mom, dedicating all my time to raising Sally, while her college fund drained our finances. The small amounts I earn from odd jobs are barely enough to make a difference. There's no way I can afford to get a divorce and move out right now. I thought about taking on a part-time job, but if Tom found out, it would just create more trouble. I even tried a few work-from-home gigs, but let's be honest, those brought in just a couple $100. There's no chance I could save enough to make the move. Meanwhile, my husband and daughter's cold treatment hasn't changed. Perhaps I've developed a thicker skin because it doesn't affect me as much anymore, but living with people who likely despise me feels like a constant torment. Then, one day, something unexpected happens. Lee actually spoke to me. "Hey, I'm getting married." "What? Married?" Sally, at 29, was certainly at an age where marriage was possible. But I was caught off guard. She shared that she was marrying the heir to the company where she works as a receptionist, someone poised to take over his father's business. I had no clue about this development, but I genuinely felt happiness for her. "Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations," I exclaimed. "Thanks. Ha. The wedding's in a month, so I'll be expecting a generous gift from you." Ah, so she's after a gift. Mixed emotions swirled within me, but regardless, she's the daughter I've raised for 20 years, and this is a significant milestone. I decided I would hold off on any thoughts of divorce until after her wedding. As I pondered my next steps, Sally suddenly announced, "Oh, and just to be clear, you're not invited to the wedding." "What? But you just mentioned a gift." "Are you?" She cut me off. "I meant to wire the gift that day. There's no way I'd invite you." Sally continued, "But I'm inviting my real mother. She's thriving in the beauty salon business, owning multiple chains nationwide and making quite the name for herself." "A businesswoman?" I echoed, stunned. "Yeah, having her at the wedding will look great, and I'm sure she'll give a generous gift." "Dad wants to get back with her?" I asked, my heart sinking. "Yes. Seriously, what's the point of keeping a housewife?" "Are you serious? So because his ex-wife is successful, they think they can just toss me aside?" I was in disbelief that I wouldn't even be invited to my own daughter's wedding. As I stood there, stunned, Sally taunted me further. "Don't you dare show up at my wedding, you fake mother." Watching from the sidelines, Tom added with a smug grin, "Why are you surprised? It's obvious you're just a pretend family member. Plus, as Sally said, I want to get back with my ex. She's doing so much better. Ha. In that moment, all my pent-up anger and frustration exploded. Is that so? So that's how it is for the past 20 years. I've done my best to create a loving family, and for what? Taking a deep breath, I continued, "If you're going to play this game, I have my own decisions to make. Fine, I won't be attending the wedding." I informed both my daughter and husband of my choice, and then left for a specific destination. A month later, on the day of Sally's wedding, I stuck to my plan not attending the ceremony, but instead finalizing my preparations to move out. I had already informed my husband and daughter of my plans, and I even had a signed divorce agreement from Tom. All that was left was to wait for them to make their next move. As I diligently packed my things, my phone rang. It was Sally, just as I had anticipated. "Mom, where are you? Get to the venue immediately." Her voice was frantic, pleading for my assistance. "The venue? What are you talking about? Didn't you just tell me not to come? Please, if you don't show up, the ceremony will have to be cancelled," she cried, panic and desperation clear in her voice. "Oh, this was all part of my plan," I replied coolly. "Mom, are you listening? They're saying they'll call off the engagement if you don't come." "Is that so? It's largely thanks to me that your fiancé decided to marry you in the first place." "Huh? What do you mean?" she asked, her voice filled with alarm. With that, I revealed the truth. "You see, I've actually met your fiancé before he came to see me. Apparently, he'd been investigating our family." "He'd investigated us for what?" "He told you he was the heir to your company, right? Of course, he would be cautious about choosing his marriage partner. His father hired a private detective to look into us after hearing about the engagement. That day, I had also visited a law firm, preparing to finalize the divorce on my terms. On my way back, I encountered a man who introduced himself as Sally's fiancé. "Kay," he explained, revealing that his father had been investigating our family and had learned it about Tom and Sally's frequent meetings with my husband's ex-wife. He wanted to understand why they preferred her company while treating me poorly. I told him everything, how the ex-wife had become a successful businesswoman, and how my husband and daughter were planning to leave me for her wealth and connections. "Did you speak badly about me to him?" Sally accused. I only stated the facts. You've been mistreating me for quite some time, I replied firmly. Why would you do such a thing? It's unnecessary, she protested. Unnecessary? Isn't it your own fault that this is happening? You're the one who did wrong, I countered, standing my ground. Sally fell silent, unable to respond. But I'm not a monster. I've raised you as my daughter for 20 years, and I truly wanted you to be happy, I continued, trying to make her see. A suggestion? She asked, her tone softening. Yes, if my daughter wants me to come to her wedding, I want him to marry her as planned. Surprisingly, even after I laid everything out, he didn't completely abandon his feelings for her. He admitted that he loved her and still wanted to marry her, but he felt uncomfortable doing so with someone who couldn't appreciate the person who raised her. I pleaded with him, if Sally chose to invite me to her wedding at the last moment, he should accept her decision. But she squandered even that chance. Instead of embracing me, she treated me like a burden until the very end, calling me a fake family member right alongside my husband. Mom, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I promise I won't say cruel things anymore, she begged over the phone. Hey, Diane, is what you just said true? If so, please help Sally, my husband chimed in, his voice filled with vain remorse. Naturally, I had no intention of forgiving them. They were the ones who had trampled on their last chance. It was far too convenient to ask for forgiveness now. They had forgotten the kindness I showed while raising Sally for 20 years, and quickly switched their allegiance to my successful ex-husband's ex-wife. I would never forgive them, never, I declared it firmly. Before hanging up the phone, I blocked their numbers one by one, picked up my bags, and headed to the apartment I had already rented. On my way, I didn't forget to submit the divorce papers at the town hall. Even if I had been invited to my daughter's wedding, I had made up my mind to divorce my husband. There was no way I could stay with them after enduring constant verbal abuse. Later, I learned it from my daughter's fiancé, Kay, that my husband and Sally had begged for the marriage to continue, crying in desperation. But once the truth came to light, it was far too late. The proposal was completely off the table. As a result, my daughter quit her job and became a recluse, while my husband devoted himself to caring for her mental health. It must have caused quite a stir on her fiancé's side. Feeling a mix of regret and sympathy, I reached out to him. He responded with kind words, saying, "It's okay. Sally and her dad turned out to be disappointing. Honestly, I'm grateful I found out before marrying her. I owe you, Ma. Thank you." If Sally had been with someone sincere, she would have been truly happy. While I felt a twinge of sadness about how things turned out, I had no regrets. I was free now, ready to pursue my own happiness and enjoy the rest of my life.